Are
What's
we
up,
good?
buddy?
How are you?
What's up, new IFBB Pro, Nate Tello? I want to be the first to congratulate you, which I was, and I am here. So we haven't been on in a while because we were obviously busy getting you ready to win that shit. And that shit, to everyone that doesn't know, is the universe, NPC Universe, formerly the Team Universe. What a great weekend, Nate. Congratulations again. Let's just recap. Tell everyone what we did. We flew down. You flew down, what, Thursday morning?
Yeah, a couple hours before you.
Yeah.
Slightly earlier flight on Thursday. Yep, South Carolina.
Yeah, to Charleston. We got a nice Airbnb. Nice little house there. Then I flew in, got there around 8 o'clock. We ate, then we went to the gym, trained.
Great little gym too. Trey's Gym. I'll give them a shout out.
Yeah.
For the hospitality. I guess he's what, an NPC show promoter?
He's a promoter, he's a judge, he's a gym owner, he's an all-around businessman down there. And he does a hell of a job. That gym was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's small, probably what, 2,000, 2,500 square feet?
Yeah, maybe 2,000. Yep.
Yeah, but he had all the old school stuff there. Him and Shannon Metarod, you older fellas that are watching would know who Shannon is. She was a awesome fitness model, figure competitor back in the, I want to say late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, she was awesome. So I think, you know, I didn't want to get too personal and ask questions, but they co-own it. I don't know their business relationship other than that, but I think they might even be married, who knows, or just best friends. But they do a great job. It was awesome. And then, you know, we got to some posing in Thursday night.
Yep.
Got you to squeeze out a little water. And, you know, the transformation was pretty amazing between Thursday night and Saturday morning. And that's typical when you fly into an event. You were shredded to begin with, but, you know, by Saturday morning, you were saran wrapped and significantly different. You were down, what were you the day before, 215?
No, probably like 212.
Yeah.
But I was on stage at 206, so that's a pretty significant drop.
Yeah, you were 215 Monday though. When were you?
Something like that. Yeah, that's right. I forget what it was.
Monday or Tuesday.
Yep, 215. Yep.
Yeah, because you had trouble sleeping because of the dogs.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, there was like an 8 to 10 pound loss of just fluid, and you didn't lose 1 ounce of fullness. I mean, it was crazy how we started eating, and then you were burning up. You'd eat a cup and a half of rice and 6 ounces of beef and be starving.
Yeah.
And then you know, 3 hours later, you'd have that same thing or with chicken and be starving again. And you were just getting harder and harder and lighter and drier.
Right.
So that's the reality of the process. If you're ready and your physique is stage ready, you know, you're not going to spill over, you know, as long as you don't go eating pancakes and
burgers,
you know,
and fries.
cheeseburgers. You know, that was something we were talking about, how people like, oh, you're going to go have a burger now? You're like, no.
I had so many, I told you, I had people text me the night before, right? Like, enjoy that burger you're having the night before the show. And I was like, what burger? I haven't had a burger all prep. We're certainly not going to throw it in the night before the show. Someone texted me after prejudging saying, man, looks like you have this. Enjoy that afternoon burger to get you full for the night show. Like, what is up with this? There's like the magical burger that somehow fills you up, everyone thinks.
Yeah. Those are for the people that are super flat and miscalculated something or used diuretics to, you know, and they were just crazy flat, and even a burger ain't gonna bring you back from that. So it's weird. And I hear a lot of bikini girls doing that. Like, oh, gonna go have my burger or my pancakes or a donut or whatever. Certainly bikini's different from what you're doing. But yeah, we there was no need for any burger. You were eating plenty. I mean, you ate more the last 2 days than you had the last 2 months.
Right.
So we got there. Then we had all day Friday. We went to weigh in and registration.
You got to tell people about, for those that might not have seen my Instagram, our Uber ride to weigh-ins and registrations, because that was like, it's not even believable. Yeah.
Yeah. We get into the Uber, and it was like, if anyone's ever seen the show Cash Cab, you know, this guy has a remote control and hits a light, and the lights start flashing purple.
And like really unassuming. This was like an old Honda van or something. You know, you get in, guy had a foreign accent, trying to make conversation with us, broken English, kind of a rundown old van, you know, and then out of nowhere, lights start flashing. You can tell it.
So then he's like, what are you into bodybuilding? Yeah. Okay, well, let me find some bodybuilding music, which I don't really know if there's such a thing. But he finally found some Bon Jovi. Then he hands back a microphone to me. I'm like, what in the hell? And the microphone worked. I'm testing it out. I'm like, holy shit. So I start singing. He's got a smoke machine he holds up, smoke going all over the place. Then he holds up this laminated card that says karaoke on it. So it was a karaoke Uber ride. And of course I had to get into it, that, you know, do my best to sing some Living on a Prayer. And oh my God, I didn't know whether to just sit there and like, are you serious, dude? Or get into it. So
yeah, right.
I had to get into it.
Because he was like, not only was he doing air drums while he should have been driving, like no hands on the wheel, right?
Yeah. He's doing air guitar.
Yeah, air guitar, no hands on the wheel. There's cars coming. You don't know if he's going to stop at a red light. Doesn't look like he's going to. But every time there was a kick drum, he was slamming on the brakes, and we were jerking back and forth.
Yeah.
Like it was the most uncomfortable ride, but it was the funniest thing I've seen in the longest time.
That was so awesome, because that set the tone for us, you know, dropping us off. Like the music was blaring as we pulled up to the hotel, and there are people standing outside looking, what the hell? There's smoke coming out of it. I'm on a microphone screaming. And oh man, that just,
to add to that, there's like, you know, I wasn't nervous for registration because I've done these before, but a lot of times it's a big deal when you're showing up to the venue to weigh in. Like, am I going to make weight? Am I? And obviously for me, it wasn't. We were the bottom of the heavyweight class, but you know, who am I going to see? You get there, everybody's, you know, jacked with tank tops, all tanned up already. Everybody's eyeing, you know, who's the competition, right? It's kind of a tense atmosphere at these shows, right? Because everybody like doesn't know how to act, and everybody's eyeing each other and figuring out who they're, you know, sizing up each other. And so, man, did that make that ride so much better to come in there with like a carefree attitude, because, you know, it can be tense. That drive to the place, you walk in, and we had like carefree, just laughing, telling everybody who would listen to the story that we just had.
Yeah, well, that certainly helped. It was like a good omen, because we were in a great mood and you were relaxed, and you went in, you weighed in at 211, right?
Yep.
And then, you know, it was simple. By the time we got there was no line. So it literally took 15 minutes.
If that, yeah. I walked in and every person was available. Like, we'll help you. Checked in, gave my music, gave me the my number, and then they had my cookie dealer cookies for every competitor. So the hardest part was like picking out your one cookie out of the 10 varieties that they had there.
Yep. Yeah, so it was good to see everyone there too. You know, bumping into a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while.
You couldn't make it 10 feet without either a friend of yours or somebody you didn't know who was a fan trying to take a picture with you.
Yeah. it's fun, you know, because I haven't been in that atmosphere in a long time. So it was a really good feeling to see everyone and to know that people still know who I am. And, you know, especially that show. I was talking to Steve Weinberger, and he looks at me, he's like, when I think of this show, I think of you. Because I did that show 7 years in a row until I finally won. And, you know, that show was special to me for sure. And I say that to this day, that it was my favorite, most meaningful show win when I finally won the overall at that show, because it took so long and I put so much into it, and it meant so much. Because back then, you know, the winners all got to go to the World Championships. We went on a paid trip to represent the country, and it was unbelievable. I got to go to Shanghai, China, and compete in the World Championships. It was 2005, the year that Dennis Wolf won the overall. I competed with Baitola Abbaspor in my class, rest in peace. And, you know, later we would compete together as pros together. And what a great guy. And there were a lot of great competitors in that show that I probably don't even know of. I mean, Kamal probably did it that year. There were tons. And it was just a great experience. Then we spent 5 days, this is no word of a lie, 5 days in Beijing. And they had this special deal that like a travel agent set up for us. It cost us $350 for a flight and 4 nights stay in a hotel, in a 5-star hotel, and a different excursion every day. $350 paid for all of that. So we went to the Great Wall of China. We went to Tiananmen Square. We went to the Forbidden City, and we went to a silk factory. And I mean, I will never forget that. It was incredible. Like the cheapest, it was a no-brainer, $350. You know, the flight, honestly, I don't know how that works, but the flight couldn't have been more than $20.
Wow.
From a round trip flight from Shanghai to Beijing. It was probably like an hour flight. But man, what a great experience. So I hope someday that they will, you know, I was talking to JM Mannion, and he had a lot of great ideas as to some things that they may be working on in the upcoming years to do something similar to that, where the universe will once again be the ultimate show, the ultimate qualifier for a larger event.
Well, I don't know how much you can say or want to say, but you know, obviously one of the questions was, why did you guys stop? Right. Because that's what Universe was known for. Were these the world championships and sending people. Yeah. And you know, it was the split, right? When the league split, and you had IFBB Elite Pro versus the IFBB and the NPC. That was the big reason, right? The tension between those two owners of the leagues. And so now NPC is trying to go worldwide and having to go into these territories they really didn't have before. So what a great way to bring it all together, you know, because they've done a great job expanding with their promoters, trying to get all around the world, you know. Yeah. And obviously it hasn't been easy. You know, when I competed in Costa Rica, we were told that the Elite Pro had spies coming to the show looking for their athletes, and if you showed up to watch the show, you were going to be suspended. Yeah, you know, so it's kind of nasty between the two, but you know, we all know who the winner is. You know, if you got to pick a league to be in, it's the NPC, the IFBB, so you get to the Olympia. But what a great way, as they're expanding, is to have this world championship, country versus country.
Yeah, that would be huge. So yeah, that is the gist of it. The split kind of ruined the Team Universe thing. But yeah, moving on, the show was certainly not lacking in numbers and in talent. There had to be, I'm going to say, well over 1,000 competitors easily. I mean, it went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, encompassing all divisions.
And we were hearing essentially every day they were overwhelmed with the competitors and running behind.
Yeah.
So
well, I think they did a great job because
for sure.
You behind is all relative because I've been at shows where it would start 2 hours late, but your finals started like 30 minutes late.
Yeah.
So I mean that was nothing. That was only because there were so many numbers at prejudging that prejudging didn't end till almost 5:30.
Exactly right. So the judges had no break.
Right. And in order to organize the people who bought tickets to prejudging versus finals, they had to remove everyone from the hall and take, I want to say 10 minutes. There was a 10-minute break and then let them back in. And then the judges had to be back at the tables and then it started back up. Yep. And it ran really smoothly. All the expediters did a great job. And, there were no real problems. I mean, I only saw a couple music miscues and it ran very, very well. And, Tyler did a great job with moving things along and he made you guys work, particularly in that over 40, was it over 40 prejudge?
Yeah, the over 40 overall.
Overall, that was brutal.
Yeah.
You were soaked, sweating, and they made you work. And I don't want to say it was super close, but it was close because that guy was good. The light heavyweight, he had really good legs, really good biceps, but pretty much you outsized him, and you were just more complete. And that's what it came down to. But it was close. And I saw Steve at the judging table with Tyler. And Steve can be a ball buster sometimes. He probably whispered to him, "Make these guys work," like because he moved you guys around. He went through the whole rundown like 2 to 3 times.
Yeah, 2 or 3 rounds of posing for sure.
Yeah, that was awesome though. That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
And personally, I love seeing that. Making them work who wants it. Who's worked on their posing, who put in the time to be ready and have the gas to finish through.
It's always funny. You've probably had this feeling where, they run through and they say your favorite most muscular, which usually ends it. And then you hear front double bicep and you go, oh, fuck. We run through the whole thing again, right? All the poses and most muscular. Everybody's winded at this point. Front double bicep. You're like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, sometimes that's what it comes down to. It's hard to pick. And they're like, well, let's just see who lasts. Last man standing wins.
Because, man, do some people fall apart with that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of talk that we've heard in the past is, masters, they shouldn't get a pro card or, listen, I was at my best at 41 years old. I was second in the world at the Olympia at 41. I had won the Arnold at 41. Kamal won the Olympia at 47. Roden won the Olympia past 40. That is such a crock. But I also think that the term masters should start at 40, because 35 is still young.
Yeah.
But you certainly put an end to that conversation, saying that, and many other guys have too, like Josh Wade. Josh Wade turned pro as a master and went on to an Olympia. He didn't win the Olympia, but he qualified.
Bo Lewis.
Again
as a master. John Meadows.
Right.
Yeah.
All guys who have went on to do well. And
Ron Parlow too.
Yeah. But I don't make no mistake. The Masters is not a backdoor or by any means is it trying to sneak in to get your pro card. It is what it is. If you fit in, you're over 35, you're over 40. And that's the beautiful thing. You're 40. So not only did you win the 40 class, you won the over 35 class.
Yeah.
So you know, you're one of the guys that they definitely can't say that about. And the speaking of over 35, they didn't have a heavyweight and a super heavyweight division. So you end up going against a couple guys. The top three were all over 225.
Yeah.
You know?
235, 240.
Yeah. You weren't, but they were, you
Yeah.
know? So it didn't really matter at that point. You would have ended up winning the overall anyway. So I forget the guy's name. He was really good that came in second in the 35 class. The bald guy was really hard and he was big. But he wasn't as balanced as you. You know, you really nailed all the checks that need to be checked. The color, the oil, the presentation, the conditioning, you know, the balance. And that's how you win shows. Is you're not always going to be the biggest guy. I said that to someone. I said, you weren't the biggest guy. You probably weren't even the hardest guy, but you were the biggest, hardest, most balanced guy, and polished. And that's how you win. In third place in your class was a very well-known Andrew Berry. He's another local New England guy. He's a coach, great guy. You know, we saw him, got to spend quite a bit of time talking to him. Then we bumped into him on Sunday walking around. He was eating donuts and no, he wasn't, but I don't know what he was eating. But yeah.
They were on their way to buy donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, typically you would think you run into a physique like that, you're going to have some trouble.
I was worried. I was legit, you know, I like Andrew. I've run into him, you know, once or twice at local gyms. I have a ton of respect for him. He's a, you know, well-respected prep coach in the area. He's associated with John Meadows on his Mountain Dog website as, you know, like on the coaching team. And man, he has an amazing physique. I've always been a fan of his physique. So he did one of these, you know, guys like me were posting 8 weeks out. I'm doing the universe and showing kind of my progress as the thing went along to, you know, less about me, but more to show like, hey, this is kind of how this goes. You know, this is where I'm at 8 weeks out. Here's where at 5. I certainly don't look show ready. Here's what I'm doing. You know, here's the cardio, here's the diet, just transparency. Andrew posted the day before, surprise, jumped in universe, you know, so it was nobody knew apparently, like and I was worried because, you know, I'm a big fan of his physique. He's very complete. He shows up in shape. You know, he's a professional. He knows how to pose, and so you know, in the best possible way. I was like, shit, I definitely have some competition at this show. And I'm glad, you know, we talk about the masters classes, you know, any of these shows, not even masters, any open show is you're at the mercy of who shows up. And a really good example is Aceto's guy that turned pro in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Right. Like there was lots of chatter online of, what were there, 6, 7, 8 guys in the entire bodybuilding show. Right. So, some of the guys that made it to the overall were like, there was 1 middleweight and 2 light heavies. And, you know, so by the time you whittled it down to the top 4 or 5 in the overall, that was half the competitors in the entire show. Right. And so Aceto's guy, I think was a super one, but was very deserving of a pro card. You know, there was, like maybe he couldn't control who showed up. None of these competitors can control who showed up. But you look at the guy and you're like, of course that guy deserves to be a pro, you know, but you can never control who your competition is. But there's always a feeling, at least for me personally, when I thought about, okay, I'm gonna turn pro, you want to do it against some real competition. You know, I wouldn't want to go in and have there be 3 guys in my class and the other 2 guys are like saggy boobs and, you know, rolls in their glutes. And, you know, it's like, yeah, I won, but, you know, so I was really happy, especially that over 35 class with all those supers that were in it, guys like Andrew Berry that are really well put together. Yeah. It meant a lot more to me to win that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say structurally, Andrew was the best guy in the show. Like,
yeah,
super wide shoulders, real small waist, and his front lat spread is really hard to contend with. But yeah, you just had more bells and whistles on that day. The guy that won, I believe, going back to that Puerto Rico thing, is up to the discretion of the promoter. I believe the promoter can say, like, if 5 guys show up and nobody's good, so one guy has to win by default, I believe the promoter can say no. And it would take someone like Steve.
Yeah.
Most guys would probably be like, yeah, we'll give it to you. I think Steve would say, no, you're not bringing that to the pro stage. Come back to another one.
Right.
So people forget we don't make the rules. We just play by them. And you were certainly worthy of that pro card. No one's going to question that at this point. I'm sure there are some people out there that, have been fighting at the national level, nipping at, getting close and haven't got it. And they might be a little agitated, but those same people would probably congratulate you because you did look, there's no mistaking, you look phenomenal. So it is what it is. So a lot of people, this is the most cliche and overused lie on social media. Lots of people have been asking me, is Nate going to compete? You're going to go right into Chicago, into Tampa? I mean, you're 5'8", 208, 6, 7, 8 pounds. You got, 6 pounds you could add. What do you want to do?
And I don't know. Obviously, we haven't really talked about it. This show was, yeah, yeah, you bring it up. This show was like my Olympia. It was like this big thing that I didn't even know if I could make it happen. So when it happened, it's like I'm still taking it in. The whole experience is still surreal. We were just at the gym lifting, and people who I don't know were coming up to me, congratulating me, and it's like the whole thing is bizarre. And there is a level of at least the last 2 years since I started going for pro qualifiers, it was this thing that almost seemed unattainable because most people try and don't get it. The odds are not in your favor if you compete that you're going to turn pro. And so it was this challenge of like, I'm going to get this thing. And everyone that knows me was like, how much longer are you going to try for this? Like you're obsessed with this thing. Like, you're just going and going and going. Like, why don't you take a break? Why don't you, like, no, I can do this. So there's a weird part of actually getting there, getting to the top of the particular mountain I've been climbing and going like, oh shit, I did it. Like, now what? Yeah, now what do I do?
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit there. I'm taking it in like it's not real. There's a now what, a part of my journey working with you has constantly been, I don't believe I can do it. And you try to convince me I can do it. And then I do it.
Yeah.
And, as I said in my Instagram post, like when we started this journey 3 years ago, I started training with you just because I had lost my passion of working out. Like I competed in 05 and 06 and just took a break. And I'd go to the gym 3 times a week and get a pump. That was it. And I stayed in like an athletic shape. And but I remember I was like, man, those days that I used to compete, I was training like an animal. And I'm feeling old now. I wonder if I could still get that back, that feeling of going to the gym and feeling unstoppable and superhuman. And I knew I needed somebody to push me. And so I think I was watching your YouTube videos and, just stumbled across it. And I'd been going to ANC nutrition supplement store for years, and your posters were always there. I knew you were yeah, you got the shirt. I knew you were like the hometown hero, bodybuilding guy. And I'm like, I got a pro in my backyard. Why don't I try and do a few sessions with him, learn a few things, get my ass kicked and jumpstart just getting back into training hard again. And man, we must have been like a month into training. and my girlfriend had picked a show and was, you know, talking to you about it and when the date was, and you were like, why don't you jump into the show with her? Like, no way. I wouldn't even place. I'd embarrass myself. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I hadn't been to a local show in a long time, but you're like, no, you jump in, I'll coach you and you'll win it. And I kind of looked at you like you were crazy. And I didn't know you well enough to know, like, is this guy just bullshitting me to like sell me on doing a show, you know, telling me I'm going to win it. And so you know, I was like, I'll go for it. And I won classic physique and took second, you know, in the light heavies to like a nationally qualified guy that was just trying to, you know, requalify. And it was like, oh shit, maybe there's something to it. You know, then we did Cutler and I won light heavies and master and very close overall. And you know, then was the 2 international shows where that was kind of like deeper water of there were pro qualifiers. I'm flying to other countries, didn't know what I was doing. And I took third in Costa Rica and second in Bermuda. And then USA's, which was my first like USA national show. And I won heavies, or big move up to heavies, and a very close second in the overall there. And so it's always right at the USA's, I was like, oh, I might actually be able to do this. You know, like this, I was so damn close. Yeah. And so I came into Universe being like, I'm going to do this. Like I told you, it was like, I don't know if it's wrong to feel this way. Like if it's a cockiness that'll get me in trouble, but this whole prep feels different. And I feel like I'm winning this thing. You know, going into the show. Like I was like, this, I don't know what this feeling is of being, you know, confident I'm going to win. So, you know, we get to Universe and it went way better than I expected. You know, I just hope to win win my weight class in one of them. I wasn't even thinking necessarily of an overall. And thanks to you, you're like, no, fuck the weight class. Like you're going to win that. We're winning an overall. Like this is, you know, your mindset on it. You'd be prepared to battle for that overall. Yeah. And we got 2 overalls, you know, so, you know, my initial mindset after the show was, again, thinking I'm not ready to battle with the big guys and the pros, but I believe next year, with this whole year of putting in work and putting in that, gaining that 6 pounds that I have to gain, you know, I was up 2 pounds from USA's, probably more because we were in better condition, you know,
and way harder. Yeah.
So maybe up 4 pounds. Like, man, what if I put on another 6 in the right places and I work more on posing and in presentation, which certainly needs a lot of work to stand on a pro stage. Like I might have a chance next year. So that's like, you know, I'm giving you the thought process in my head. Nothing's obviously been decided, but that's kind of, right. You know, our viewers here are getting to hear the conversation you and I are having now for almost the first time, you know?
Yeah. You know, going back to that feeling of, you know, the confidence you had leading into the show, anyone that's won a show or won a big show can relate to that because there's something that just happens, you know, all the stars align, you know, your training is perfect, you feel perfect, your diet goes perfect. And even every little thing down to the flight down there, you know, not missing an Uber ride or just stuff just clicks, you know, and I can relate to that. Like I've had shows where things just, it almost felt easy, you know, and then leading up to the show, you know, there's something, you look in the mirror and you hit a shot and you're like, wow, I never looked like that. Not only did I never look like that, I never imagined I could look like that. You know, and that's what we were seeing when you know, when I stop laughing when you're posing, I'm like, oh my God.
I'll pull up if I can do screen share here because you're describing it perfectly of let's see. Let me do screen share. I have in my my Instagram here. Some of the pics, and this was exactly, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
This was one of these moments where we were just doing posing and you were like, what the fuck? Get the camera, and you recorded it, right? And and I looked at it after, because I didn't know what you were looking at. And I'm going, holy shit. Like, I have striated triceps. That's never happened before. You know, where's we have a pic here too. So this was
Oh, of course, you asshole.
Yeah, right. The Chris Aceto style pic, although I don't know why you insisted on being in your boxers doing it. That's Jose's take on it.
Well, you can't pose efficiently enough if I'm fully dressed. So I had to get down to my skivvies.
And this pic here, right? Where
that's
the
nutty.
triceps are just striated. Like, I've never looked like that. I never thought I could, you see like Eduardo Correa and all these guys where you just like, oh, that's genetics. Like, I don't have the genetics for that, And man, the day before, we started, this was day before the show, morning of Friday morning.
Look at the shark bite in your hamstring right there.
Yeah, like
just weird stuff started popping out.
Yep. We have this back shot. This was the night before.
Yep.
Where we were just working on trying every little thing, making sure everything was there to look like a pro. Like, my hamstring was dug out, striated glutes, my back was great. Like, I'm looking at this being like, what is that? I don't look like that,
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of wow moments. This was the morning of. Woke up in the morning and hadn't eaten anything. Took a look at me to figure out what we eat before show day. Ran through some poses, and it was like you said, everything. Yeah, everything came together, and
you were still full.
Yeah,
you hadn't eaten yet.
Exactly. Yeah, it was strange.
Yeah, that's what you call the perfect storm for you to. That's why I knew you were not going to lose unless, Sean Clarita or Keon Pearson showed up or something,
right.
But that's why I'm so confident, and I know the changes you were able to make just since December, and I know with 4 weeks, if you were to do Chicago or Tampa or whatever, I know you could do well, which would be enough for you to be like, holy shit, I got to stand next to, Keon. I got to stand next to whoever, even like Austin Carr. That guy's unbelievable. Those are guys that you'd probably get called out with. I'm not going to say you beat him, but your quality would be, you would not do bad. I'll tell you that, especially with the condition you're capable of. But now, say you were to take 6-7 months to prepare and be in this condition right at 212. Well, there's no reason you couldn't win a pro show. I'm that confident.
If I Guy Cicinino it and pick the right ones.
Yeah. We'll fly you to Algeria,
right,
and do the Mahmoud Classic.
Right,
you'll do well.
Well, like what guys.
Just kidding, Guy.
Yeah,
Guy's brilliant. Guy has 7 pro wins by being smart.
Yeah,
Guy has a zillion followers and does very well by being very smart. So,
and I mean that in with the respect of. That's how I approach everything in life. Of what's the strategy, right? What's the strategy to win? And, I've gotten so much shit over the last year from the certain online people of like, you can compete with the open guys. Why the hell are you even doing masters, right? Like that. I got that so much, and I'm like, because I'm 39, because I'm 40, because I can,
Yeah.
Pro card's all the same, right? Why not? It's like owning a business and being like, I'm not going to use the internet because my dad's business didn't use the internet. There's this weird tradition of I'm only going to do it at nationals or USAs or North Americans, and that's it. And guys get so stubborn that every year they come back and they don't get it. They may never get it. And I have respect for those guys. Like, you want to be the best of the best, total respect, right? I'm not that guy. Like my mission was to turn pro. And, you know, you have multiple ways to do it, and I'm going to find the smartest way to do it. So I feel like even for a pro show, you know, there's two ways to look at it. Right? One is I want to stand with the best. I know I'm not going to beat them, but like what an experience that would be to be up there, to get those photos, to, you know, be part of a big show, to say, do New York Pro, right? New York Pro 212 next year. And to have that experience of being part of a great show with some of the best guys out there. And then the other thing is, like, you know, you do Puerto Rico Pro, you find the, you know, when they had the Niagara Falls show, or these little one-offs that pop up where it's like, you're not going to probably get a Keon or an Alex Cameronero, or, you know, or whoever, like those top guys coming out.
Yeah.
You're going to get the next tier of guys. And I think I can be competitive with those guys.
Yeah. Guess what? That next tier of guys are nasty.
Yes.
You have that Belzano guy. You had Nathan Epler. You had Tonio Burton. You had John Jewett. That's how John made his name, you know?
Yep.
Those guys are nasty. And so it's all the luck of the draw. So you got to be smart. And just to expand on that, it used to be that people would say, oh, he backdoored it. He went and did North Americas. The North Americans used to be considered a backdoor pro card. Well, guess what? We have two Mr. Olympias that turned pro at the North Americans. You know, Dexter Jackson and Sean Roden both turned pro at the North Americans. So there's no golden rule that how you turn pro is how you're going to do as a pro.
Right.
You know, you just do what's best for you. And so far, you've played it perfectly. You know, you got to dip your toe in and then gradually increase the quality that you've been up against. And eventually, you're going to be on stage with those guys we just named. And, you know, it doesn't have to be now. You got a lot of business things happening, exciting things coming up. So it'd be good to focus on that. And, you know, you'll have a place that you'll enjoy training at as well.
Yeah.
You don't have to drive an hour and a half to go do legs.
Right down the street, man. Best place in Boston to train legs. So that's part of it too, right? To be honest, if I didn't have this potential, you know, business thing about to start that I want to put my all into, and it was just like, my career is the same, nothing's changing there, I would probably jump into a pro show just because I'd need that excitement. I wouldn't know, you know, I always have to have something that I'm getting out of bed being like, this is the next big thing, you know? And so these shows have been that for me. But, you know, we'll hopefully have a lease signed tomorrow on this space in Boston. And, you know, 7,000 square foot training facility, gym, and man, is this an opportunity, you know, for a business, to make something that is the best place for trainers in Boston, greater Boston, to train out of and make their livelihood. You know, like I come from a place, I've managed trainers for 20 years, and my whole business has been help trainers make money, and I make money off of that, you know. And so if I can provide a facility where we all know, I mean, you know, the trainers in town, there's lots of great people that they're not going to go do floor hours at Equinox, you know, when you've been doing this shit for 20 years and you have experience. But all of these corporate gyms ate up all the mom and pops. So there's no place left to go if you're an experienced trainer. You know, it's corporate gym, or you're going to people's houses, or, you know, you're working out under the table. Is like, it's hard. What do you do? So if I can provide a facility, and, you know, not to mention a really badass place to train for myself, like build my dream gym with the best equipment. And I think there's enough trainers around town that will geek out on that stuff too. You know, there's enough guys out like you and I that are like, oh shit, they got the Icarian hack squat and the Flex Fitness this and the Body Masters that, you know. So I'm really excited about that. And I, you know, I have a business partner in it. I'd be shortchanging him if you know, I'm missing out on stuff because I gotta do a second cardio session, you know.
Yeah,
So that's kind of where my head's at of prioritizing that. But I will tell you from, you know, something switched for me at this show because to be honest, when I was before this show, the goal was get the pro card and be done and just move on with it. Like still train, still hit the gym with you, still improve, but just I really believed like I don't think I can be competitive as a pro. So why put all of the time into it and the money and the everything, right? To finish 12th place in a pro show. I don't want to ever be that guy, you know?
yeah.
And so, but after this show where there were some really good competitors, especially in like these overalls, and to take that, something clicked a little bit, you know, I a little bit more belief grew in me of, I think with, you know, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, a year of work that I'm happy to put in and train my ass off and stay on the diet. I think I can be something pretty crazy a year from now.
Oh, I do too. I do too. And that's kind of the fun part is the training, making those improvements and growing to the next level. And I think you're making the right decision. As much as I was a competitor, I would compete too much. And I think you're doing what's right for you. Although I'd love to see it. You know, I hate having to wait to see it, but we'll have fun making the improvements.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot, like, you know, what I will say that I absolutely need to work on, and you know, maybe you can tell the story, is like just the change you saw in me mentally between the 40 and up, where I came out there, you know, the quick 30-second routine and posed, and then you came backstage and gave me the pep talk, you know, and what changed when I came out for the 35 and up, like I need to grow more in that way, which is a confidence thing, right?
Yeah.
To come on out, and especially on a pro stage where these guys have that shit in spades,
Right.
you know, of performing and the confidence. I have to walk out with that, or I'm done from the first pose, you know?
Yeah. No, you look like a different person. And it was like, what was it, half an hour later? Not even?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were still nervous when you came out the first time. And then once they compared you and you kind of knew, like, all right, what am I doing here? Like, clearly they see something good in me. And I came back and got in your face like, dude, you're not only you winning this, but you can win this whole thing. You need to wake up, like have a little energy. And you're like, all right, I get it. You know, make sure you're squeezing everything. Make sure you don't forget you got one chance up there, and don't mess it up. And sure enough, you came out. It looked like you took a diazide or something in between. In 15 minutes, you dried out everything. Any bit of nerves you had were gone, and you just got drier and harder. And that was fun to see, you know. And people sitting around us saw it, and we're like, "Oh my God, that's crazy! How much better he got in, you know, less than a half an hour."
And I had way more fun. You know,
Yeah.
that was the thing, right? Is when I first came out, I felt like half asleep. You know, I was just like, it was sort of surreal. Like you know, you get up out of bed and you pose and you're like, I'm hitting the poses. But in that second round, it was like, it was game time. You know, it's like I needed that halftime pep talk to go out and play. And I hit everything differently, but I was having fun out there too. You know, like I when it came time, I think it was an overall, the pose, you know, they did the pose down thing. And I came over in your direction and I pointed and I hit your signature pose. You know, I was just fucking around at that point, but having fun, you know, which is where I needed to be when I walked out the very first time.
Right. But it worked, and now you know, and you know what we need to improve upon. One last question before we go. What physically do you see that you need to work on? What do you need to improve upon to get to that next level?
So yeah, I'll give you what I think, and I'd love to get your opinion. I think I need to make my legs better, as in more separated. That's been a struggle. They've gotten better, but I need more separation, maybe, more adductor, because I have the high insertion on my outer quad. So it kind of pops it out like a big quad sweep. So more adductor, definitely more separation and more detail in my legs. I'd like more arms. I think that will help my front double bi shot. I think more abs. The more that I can develop my abs will help. As I started with shit abs, no abs, and I've been training them over the last few years, and they've built up in a little bit more detail. But I think that will help when I hit some of these front lat spread, front double bi. Even when you're not flexing them, they're still popping through.
Yeah.
And then I just need to be more consistent with posing, with being, and we made huge progress in the last week on my legs. We were able to kind of troubleshoot, what is it that I need to do to keep my quads flexed more? How do I need to set up a shot better to keep my glutes and hamstrings flexed? That needs a lot more work to be on the pro level. But I'm really happy with what we were able to do in the last week on that, because that improved night and day. So yeah, that's biceps, if I definitely need find a way to get the biceps to grow, abs, and then quad separation would be what I say. What do you think?
I agree 100%. And we knew this from shows past, that you dry out very quickly. So like a week out, there's very little separation. Then the morning of, it's split like crazy. And, a lot of that had to do with you not connecting with it and being able to show it. So yeah, we need to practice that more. But it's hard to practice it off season because the leg isn't super lean.
Right.
But just keep building muscle everywhere. You've done a tremendous job at, growing uniformly. Nothing is overshadowing anything else. But yeah, definitely we can attack the arms a little differently, and practice posing them a little bit differently. Oftentimes you get stuck like this.
Yeah, my mobility needs work for sure.
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of people do that. But yeah, a little more size in the arms, a little more leg, a little more back. We can always have some more back. Your back from behind is tremendous. But if we can bring the lats to sweep out more in the front double, that'll change the look of that shot as well.
For sure, because I have a wider waist, and so the more that we can disguise it of legs get bigger, lats get bigger, it doesn't look as wide after that.
Exactly. That was something I had to contend with in my career. I was always trying to grow my legs and my lats without my waist getting too off, Ron Harris said you had a nice tiny waist.
Yeah, I know, right? I remember that when you guys, I was like, wow, that's quite a compliment, considering I don't, but
you do front to back, because like in your side tricep, it's crazy looking.
Yep.
It's just, you're a white dude with wide hips.
Yeah.
You got good birthing hips. All right. So
one thing I want to touch on, just for if there's competitors listening to this, and I can kind of say a lot of stuff that I've learned from you that I don't see other people doing, that really honestly gave me a huge advantage in this competition. Besides getting to train with you, and training at such a high level consistently, getting my ass kicked. The tanning thing we got to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Is, it's funny, going into this show, I got flack from a lot of people of, hey, so-and-so, my buddy does tanning down there, let me hook you up. And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, what do you mean? Are you signed up with a vendor at the show? No, just going to do it the old school way. And they're like, are you kidding me? Like, why would you do that? Right. And maybe you'd be better explaining why you wanted me to put on, you know, 6, 7 coats over the course of 3 days versus
6,
just getting
7. We
10.
more than that.
Yeah, 10 coats.
So let me start with I had been sponsored by Protan my entire career, and they treated me incredible. And my very good friend Carla Salati, there were times where I would not let anyone else touch me but Carla backstage. And you know, she would come to my room, even at the Olympia. She would take time out of her day to come to my hotel room and hand paint me because she knew how anal I was about it. And I would not go on stage for a competition with just a spray tan. I just wouldn't do it. So if you properly, now I'm not, I don't want to ruin their business, their spray tan business, because there's something I want to say. You need to prepare your skin to be spray tan. You need to start days ahead of time. So we started, what, did you start Wednesday night? She did a coat?
Correct, Wednesday night, yep.
Yeah.
And what I'll say, even prior to that, I tanned, because I'm a pretty pale skinned person.
Yeah.
I tanned leading up to that to have a little bit of a base color underneath the pro tan.
All right. So one thing I told Nate, do not shave with a razor. We just buzzed, use a buzzer that goes as short as it can without going to the skin. So there's going to be no skin irritation. You just use a buzzer. And then starting Wednesday night, you put like 4 coats on. You put a coat on, front, back, arms, go down and do the legs. As soon as you finish with the legs, the upper body should be dry. Come right back up, do it again. Then we sit, go stand in front of a fan. We do that process again. So that's like 4 coats. Then you sleep in it. Then you rinse off in the morning and you should be good to travel without it getting everywhere. You travel with dark clothes. You get to wherever you're at Thursday. So Thursday night, we did 4 more coats. Start at the top, go to the bottom, let that dry, do it again, do it again, do it. And that only takes about a half an hour to do 4 coats. Then he slept in it again, rinsed off Friday morning. Now, the purpose of this is to get the dye, the tan in your skin. You don't want it on your skin. And the only way to get it in your skin is from multiple coats and rinsing it and letting it soak and absorb over the course of a few days. So then the final coat we did was Friday night.
Yep.
You know, we look at it in the morning and then we do the final contest coat, the whatever that's, what is that one called?
Like, I think it's called like the top coat bronzer. So
yeah,
we used
top
two
coat,
different two different pro tan products. I don't have them here, but there was a very specific color that you suggested that Christine bought all this stuff, but it was not the normal basic pro tan color. It was like a darker shade that they offered. So we had that for all of those coats leading up to Friday, and then to Saturday. Sorry, all
Saturday morning.
That darker base coat. Yep. And then Saturday morning there was this kind of foam top coat that goes on, and we put a coat of that on. Yeah,
and that was like the final coat early in the morning before we left for the venue, and that kind of like seals it all in. And you know, even when you were sweating, it didn't run, it didn't nothing. You know, we dried you
my
out.
Skin was so dyed, right? Like there might be a little bit of a top coat on there, but other than that, most of the color is sunken in, so it's not going to run.
Exactly. So that's the gist of it. You want to start days ahead of time, putting a coat after coat in, let it sit overnight, get up, rinse off, get all the loose stuff that's on top of your skin, get that off, and then repeat that process. You know,
you know, you were a better judge because you were out in the crowd seeing everybody, but just from being backstage and then looking at pictures after, I honestly think I had the best color in the show doing it.
Without question, it wasn't even close. And that's precisely why. Now, if you want to get sprayed and say, you know, you fly to a venue or whatever, have your friend or family member or someone help you with putting those hand coats on you ahead of time, so it's in your skin. Then you can show up to the venue and get a final spray coat, which isn't gonna, it'll stick better, it'll look better, and it'll be better in general. So just, order a couple bottles from Pro-Tan ahead of time so you can get those hand coats on. Because if you just white and you wait for a spray tan, it's not gonna look the same. It's gonna look like someone who got spray tan, where you look like a chocolate person,
Right.
It looked like your skin color,
Yeah.
it was much better because it wasn't on your skin, it was in your skin. So it didn't cover any detail. You weren't losing any conditioning or any lines because it was covering the crevices. It just looked like your normal skin, and that's how it should look.
Yeah. And then the only other thing I'll touch on before we go is, at least that I saw, that I was much more prepared, thanks to you, than other people, was one, the posing. There was some horrendous posing going on. Guys leaning back so far, you couldn't see anything. Like, just, it's surprising at a national level where these people have all qualified and, gotten first or second place at a local show to get there. And, they've worked their ass off to be there.
Yeah.
And you see the posing, and it's not doing them any favors.
Right.
It's making them look worse. And certainly I still have my challenges, but it's like taking it from 90% to 100%. It's trying to hit a pose and be able to hold that shit for 15 seconds, and everything is just freeze framed like a photo. But there were a lot of people that really needed to fine tune their back shots, their side shots, right? Where they could have placed much better had they had someone like you with a proper eye, tweaking them and adjusting them, there's a guy that we spoke to that told me, I didn't work on posing once this whole prep because I was too tired.
Yeah, and that's why he placed where he placed.
Yeah. And so that's something that it makes such a difference. And then obviously your mindset, your mentality, because you mentioned to me a couple guys that looked really good, and as soon as I got put in center spot and they knew they weren't winning, you watched them fall apart.
Yeah. Oh, we see that often, even at the pro level. You'll see someone that looks unbelievable, even at the Olympia. They just emotionally melt down, and you can see their body fill up with water from nervousness, from just stress. They were great, and then once you see them in the 4 spot and they're not winning, they fall apart. And you can't do that. You got to keep posing. You got to pretend as if you're winning, because sometimes they may pull you back in and say, oh man, that guy looks great. They do a lot of shuffling around, and it's not always the final position. So you got to be ready for anything, basically.
And that mindset of, I was backstage in line, and I certainly talk to a lot of people, and you make friends, because these shows are great for that, right? It's a convention of like-minded people, where how often do you come together and have, in my case, 80 plus bodybuilders, thousands of competitors. But I also noticed, like, as we're about to go in line and I'm trying to get myself in the right headspace, there's a lot of guys that are like just fucking off, like just, they're about to go on and they're talking about, the football game that's happening, whatever, like, you're like, bro, you're about to go on there. Like,
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of that too, where people aren't in the mindset of, I'm going to go out there and bring my best, and I need to be focused. And what is it that I need to focus on? They're, completely distracted by everything else. They just don't know. Maybe they haven't had someone like you to give them those pep talks, and they go to these shows and just, maybe it's a nervousness thing. Let me just talk to people to keep myself occupied.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're not pumping up, you're not hitting your shots, and, focusing on your little checklist that you might need to go over before you go out.
Oh yeah. Well, those are the people who aren't ready to win.
Yeah.
And I've run into a lot of them. They won't shut up. Keep talking to me asking me questions. I'm trying to pump up, about to walk out on stage, and they, we keep it light, most of us, when we were, and try to enjoy the moment, but you're getting ready for battle. You're going up there, going through your head, and, what shots you're going to hit, and you're free posing, and, you want to be focused on what you're about to do. Some of them are, and those guys that really are lax back there, you look at them and they don't look like they dieted.
Yeah.
They're there to have fun, and that's all well and good, but you're there to win. That was great. I think I was the only like coach back there.
Yeah.
With anyone.
Only one. Yeah. Which is really strange, because there were coaches passes, right? That you could buy. And the only time I've seen that is you've done it. You've been there for me when you've been able to, Bermuda and here, and it made a world of difference. Like I don't even want to compete now unless I know you can be there, because it just, and I've seen Chris Tuttle do that with his guys. Be back there pulling them aside, and, whoever's nervous, he's giving them the talk, and he's, okay, let's hit that side shot again. I want to see you hit the glute, and like, the little checklist that he knows these guys have problems with, so it's fresh in their head. You don't see that, man. Like it's, I think, that as we've talked about a lot on the trip, there's a lot of coaches that they're coaching 100, 200 athletes, right? And they sent you your peak week plan 8 days out, and take a quick look at you. And I can only speak for myself and what I find valuable in a coach, but there's a lot of people missing out, not having somebody that will put in the attention that you've put in with me for the most minute details that, when you add them up, make all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah. Well, so much is happening, so much. Your body changed drastically from Thursday to Saturday morning, and to just guess over the phone what's going on it's near impossible to do. I have a pretty good idea of how your body responds, but it's like an hourly thing. You have to be there to see it happening, and keep your mood the right way too. Stress is a huge thing. Some of the guys, there were some coaches that would come in and be like, all right, yeah, you look great, and then would leave. I spent the majority of the time back there with you. So, I mean, that so much can go wrong between showing up at the venue and getting on stage.
Yeah.
So I try to see you as much as possible, and obviously it helps.
100%. Like I honestly believe that if you weren't there, while I would have been better than my last shows, I don't think I would have had this outcome. Both of the fine tuning that you did in the last couple of days, because, it's over pictures. You can be like, yeah, sure, take another Diazide. Sounds good. Dry out, right?
You can even take a full Diazide.
I know. And so, or, from the walking into the big pump up room with, 300 guys in there, to the walk up the stairs to the back of the stage, and you're hanging out there forever. Someone can mentally break at that point, from nerves. And so I'm thankful, man. I feel like I almost had an unfair advantage. I had the Belichick in my corner, where everyone else has like Pop Warner, coaches. I really felt like I was able to come in there and dominate because of I've got a champion, in my corner teaching me what champions do.
Yeah.
And a lot of other guys didn't have that, and they were missing a lot of important things, from, the tan to the posing to the mentality of I'm here to compete and win. And it sucks, because those guys, man, busted their ass for 3 months to do their best to show up in shape, only to blow it from their burger and fries the night before and pancakes the morning of. And
I was just gonna say that guy that we were speaking to, unbelievable physique. He really could have won.
Yeah.
He placed third in his class, but he had said something to you like, "Oh man, I just had," because I said, "Well, hopefully, if you do things the right way, they're gonna give you another shot at finals. They'll take a look at you." Yep. Yeah, and if it's close, they will rejudge it. If you come back looking much better, and he was like, "Oh no, are you serious? They're gonna
He said,
judge
I
us?"
just had 2 double cheeseburgers from Five Guys and 2 orders of fries
Right,
after judging.
and he looked pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, that's something where whoever's helping him would have needed to say, "Dude, you're still very close. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that. You can come back better." You know, you clearly came back better at finals too.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. That's why there are coaches, because they help. They make a difference. I know that having Chris with me when I competed made a big difference, particularly in my confidence, and that I wouldn't do something stupid and have a burger or anything like that, you know, or say, you know, you'd say, yeah, have some water. Where some people maybe I
It might
wouldn't
be
have
too
had
hardcore. Yeah, and just dehydrate
right.
even more. Yep.
Yeah, there's many reasons why it's good to have a coach. So
I wanted to kind of touch on all this stuff because like I feel like I was a guy that didn't think he could do this. And, you know, over this process, by learning from somebody who's put 20 plus years into competing at the highest level, where the smallest minutia makes the difference of first and second. You know, you've always spoken so highly of Flex, and you were saying
exactly.
he's the king of
The
the
little
minutia,
things.
you
Yeah.
know, of how he waits to hit a pose, or, you know, you're going to hit it this way, so he's going to hit it a different way because you're going to crush him if he matches you pose for pose, you know.
Yeah.
And you start looking at the gamesmanship of this to play at the highest level, you know, that Tom Brady level of to do it at the highest level for so long. That's the fun in it for me too, is to strive for that, you know. And so there's a lot of people you and I know locally that bust their ass to compete. They're in the gym training their ass off. They can outlift me on every single lift. I can't keep up with their strength.
Yeah.
And they want it, you know, but they don't know what they don't know. And they're not seeking out that knowledge from somebody with your type of experience. And so kind of why I wanted to, you know, also touch upon all this is like, hopefully it's a lesson to people wanting to be where I'm at, where I never thought I would actually get here, you know. And it is that cliche, like, if I can do it, you can do it. But the way that I did it was being very smart with a strategy. It was seeking out a mentor like you that had the real world experience, that wasn't an online, you know, famous coach that, like, what the fuck have they done in real life? You know, they've just been really good at social media and building up a following and building up a clique of, you know, this is the team to be on, right?
Yeah.
It's finding somebody, if at all possible, who's good and local, so they can take a look at you all the time, so they can see how your training is, so they get a sense of your mentality. It's hard to do that with a once a week email check-in, you know.
Yeah.
You might be sabotaging yourself. So, you know, a lot of these things
We touched on that, Nate, about the most successful ones have a relationship. It's more than coach student, you know. It's like we said with Clarita and Jansen and Nick Walker and Jansen and, you know, myself and Chris, you know. It was more than he knew what I was thinking before I even said it. And that's when you really are able to succeed, is you need to know that person well. It's, as you said, it's very difficult to do that through an email.
Yeah.
You know, once a week check-in. So the more you can familiarize yourself with each other, the better teamwork you can do.
100%. You know, like, so if there's anything I did right in this, it was trying to find the winning strategy, of which you were the biggest part of, you know, of seeking out, you know, in any business, you need a good plan, you know, before you can put the work into it. You can work your ass off and work 80-hour weeks with a really bad plan and get nowhere, you know. So first off, it was like, I need to find somebody who has the winning plan, put my trust in you explicitly. So it's like, I don't even question it. You know, I I'll question you for the sake of learning of
Yeah.
why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Why does it work? Because I hope to be a good coach someday. So I want to know the whys. But I never questioned a judgment of like, that doesn't make any sense. Why are we, you know, and then it was just put the work in, you know, and my progress, at least on a local scene, has been dramatic to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I had a really good plan and then I worked really hard with that really good plan and we made adjustments when needed. And, you know, so that's kind of what I want people to take away of if I can do it, you can do it. But you have to have a really good plan and a really good coach and the relationship that we have before you can then put all that work in. Because otherwise you're spinning your wheels. You can go online and tell people you're the hardest worker in the gym. And then, you know, keep doing shit at every local show you do. Well, something's not working.
Yeah. 100%. On that note, we're not talking about you. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
All right. Great one, Nate. Let's hook up again, and we'll do that. We'll do a workout video maybe this week. Do some Q&As. People in the question in the comment section, send us questions. It could be contest related, prep related, you know, the stage related, anything. Ask some questions, put them in the comments, and we'll do a Q&A, because this wasn't a Q&A, this was just us recapping.
Yeah.
But will give us a reason to have more content coming out other than us just wanting to. I want to have some valuable information for you guys. So thanks a lot again, Nate, and I'll see you tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Jose.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Peace.